renting. Okay, this is the biggest wow moment. Buy a house. Okay, the earlier you buy a house, the better for you. Okay, any money you spend on renting when you could have bought a house is money that you're taking and you're flushing down the toilet. Stop renting. Buy a house. No matter how small it is, buy a house. When you buy a house, keep it. Okay? Don't worry about what they say about the housing market and everything else. Buy a house, dang it.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I think they get it. I think they get it. Buy a house. Okay? Hi there, my name is Elizabeth.
Hey, my name is Ugo.
And welcome to another episode of Youthful Vibes. Where we bring fun and enlightenment to the journey of youth. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about 4 money mistakes to avoid in your teens and your 20s.
Correct, because when you're in your teens and your 20s, you do stuff that's not smart with money.
Not saying that you're not smart.
Most times. I know I did. I know she did. If she comes here to come lie about it, I'm going to tell on her.
But we're not talking about me right now.
Whatever she's going to tell you guys later, it's probably a lie.
Hold on. So before we get started, if you have not done so already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And also click on the bell, the ring-a-ding-ding, so that it can let you know when we drop something hot.
Yes, I've been telling her to get rid of that thing for the longest, and she keeps on going. Like, who's...
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay, so, but before we get into the video, for the second time, before we get to the video, if you haven't already, go to our website, www.newgenleaders.com, and get a copy of our latest book, Package for Success. It's a roadmap. Really will help you discover what your mission and what your life on the earth is all about, and help you, it will give you practical steps to identify what your purpose in life is. Feedback that we've gotten so far from the book has been mind-blowing. So, get your copy.
Now. Alright, so number 1 mistake to avoid in your teens and 20s is not having a game plan. Okay, get it together, which I mean obviously you're trying to do by watching this video. Okay, that's step number 1. But what have you been doing this entire time?
Being conscious of the people that our demographics, when we look at the analytics of our channel, is people really, again, in their teens and their 20s and actually in their 30s as well. So these are mistakes that if you were to avoid them early enough, or if you were to correct them early enough, then you're sure that you're not going to fall into the pitfall of not having enough money when you need it.
In your teens and your 20s, and maybe in your 30s if you don't really have it together, I feel like a lot of us still have a lot of parental support, or like some of us that have jobs, like we're not thinking about like the future.
Yeah, but it depends on when you leave home. So if you're still under the covering of your parents, probably yes, you're not really concerned about the future. But that's why it's a mistake. You're supposed to be. You're supposed to be thinking about what you want to do with money before the money comes. Now, the advice to save and save and save is really good, but it's not, depending on how much money you want to have, you can't really get rich by saving. So you have to go beyond saving to investing, and you have to do it early, which means doing it before you leave the home roost if you're still at home.
Right. And I was just thinking about, like, a lot of people say adulting is hard, but adulting is hard when you haven't laid a good foundation.
Yeah, but when you have that a good foundation, adulting is hard.
I mean, adulting is hard, period. But I feel like it catches you even more off balance if you don't have like a good foundation, if you don't have a game plan. And I know that, like, I think I was a little bit more mature than a lot of people. When I got my first job, I started saving. But before then, like, I had a game plan for all the paycheck that came in.
I told Josh she was gonna lie. I don't think it was this.
When I started nursing, I was saving.
Yeah. Okay. So before we make this whole thing about her, what we're talking about is have a game plan for how much money you need to save, and then what you're gonna do with that money.
Yes.
So most people want to wait for big lumps of money to come into their hands before they can start doing something with it. But really, if you gotta watch our video, the last video that we did, was it the last one or 2 videos ago?
2 videos before.
Yeah, so we've been doing a number of videos about money, but there's one that we did about investing in the stock market.
Oh, the one before.
Okay, so you don't need a lot of money to start investing, but you have to at least, first of all, start saving, have a game plan for how much you need to save. And what we recommend is at least 10%. At least 10% of whatever money comes into your hands. So 10% goes to tithing, 10% goes to savings. Like you need to have, because when you have that money saved up, then you can go to the next step of investing that money. And then we should make a video about like the things to invest in when you don't have a lot of money. But the stock market is definitely one of it, and there are other investments that you can start going into with very little money, but you have to have a plan for what you're going to do with the money before the money comes in, because if not, you're going to end up buying Jordans and buying Nikes and everything else that's coming out these days.
Babe, people are buying PlayStation 5s.
That too, PS5, like dang.
Okay, so another thing about saving is if you already have a job that allows you to have an IRA or a 401k, you need to make sure that you're putting money into that. Because the thing that I learned actually early on, which I love, was I didn't know a lot about the stock market, but I found out that I could actually use my 401k to work for me. They have these people that will go and actually invest your money for you. So while it's like basically passive income, because you take money out of your paycheck, you put it into this 401k that accrues interest, but then they also go ahead and invest that money for you. And so you're building without really having to do any work.
Yeah, and if you're working and you're not already contributing to your 401k, do that. You might think that you're young and therefore you have time on your side. That's actually the reason why you should start doing it now. Because imagine if you were able to save and start investing early, then you can really take advantage of compounding, because you have compound interest working in your favor as you get older. Okay, so that's mistake number one, which is not having a game plan for the money before it comes in.
Right. And then also, don't forget that you need to have a budget. Okay, it's very easy when the money comes in.
She didn't have one. She didn't have one. Let me tell y'all.
Guilty.
So when we met, before we met, actually, even after we met, I had to. I don't want to take credit for how your life has turned out. That's just not.
No, it's all God. Okay. It ain't you.
but like she'll get paid, and below it, I mean, like, if you talk about careless spending.
Okay, no.
Let me tell her for a
I
second.
saved and I had a Roth.
That was from work.
Yes,
yeah.
But I also saved.
Did you waste your money?
I had a savings account.
Are we making
no, I said that I did not have a budget.
This video is like for that. This hi Nikki from the past, Elizabeth from the past. You should watch this video and avoid the mistakes that this Elizabeth has made.
Wait, pause. Let's talk about you.
No, you got to. It's easy. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money to mess up with. So if you ain't got it, how you gonna waste it, right? Well, I didn't have a game plan though. I had a game plan, and for people that knew me back then, they'll tell you I always had a game plan. I had a game plan, just there was no money to
to execute
to work the plan. But that was a plan. That was a plan anyway.
Okay, back to what I was saying before he tried to turn on me. Okay, y'all. Okay, it's important to have a budget. I know that it's so easy that when the money comes in, it's like, it's my money to spend. But the thing is, if you look at your, like, what you're spending your money on, you can probably say, oh, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. And actually decrease how much you're like taking out, how much you're spending, and actually put more into your savings, or be able to put more into the stock market should you decide to go that route. But it's very important to like have a spreadsheet. Like I remember my sister and I were talking about it, and she gets an allowance and she gets like a money grocery budget or whatever. And so she was basically like, how do I make this stretch? Do not be afraid to shop at more than one place, okay y'all? I do not get all of my groceries at the same place because I am a budgetista, okay? Like I'm like, it's cheap here and I ain't got no fear.
She's changed. I can attest to that. She's changed. She's gone from being wasteful to being resourceful now. It's just amazing.
When was that ever wasteful? No. First of all, I have on foundation.
Like you look so cute. I was looking at you, I'm like, oh my girl. And you look so cute when you're talking about serious. Save y'all, get your life together. You need to get your life together. I'm like, come here baby, let me get you together. Money mistake number 2 to avoid in your teens and your 20s is acquiring a lot of liabilities. And I mean this pressure to keep up with trends in terms of, buying the latest cars and clothes and shoes and trying to buy the latest phones and electronic gadgets and all. The thing is, the earlier you start acquiring assets, the better for you, and the more those assets are gonna grow to give you a lot of returns. The glaring one that no one ever told me, I don't know why adults never tell people these things, is renting. Okay, this is the biggest wow moment. Buy a house. Okay, the earlier you buy a house, the better for you. Okay, any money you spend on renting when you could have bought a house is money that you're taking and you're flushing down the toilet. Stop renting. Buy a house, no matter how small it is, buy a house. When you buy a house, keep it, okay? Don't worry about what it's saying about the housing market and everything else. Buy a house, dang it.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I think they get it. I think they get it. Buy a house, okay? Another thing that I want to talk about with this whole liability thing is the car thing, okay? In point number 1, we talked about the importance of having a budget, right? And I think that it also allows you to see expenses that are not necessary. Mm-hmm. One being a car note. When we got married, we bought a car and we had a monthly payment that, you know, now looking back, we were like, that was a dumb decision. Yeah. It wasn't that we couldn't afford it, but it just limited us in our ability to do other things with our money.
And it's also the thing about trying to keep up with, again, trends and fashion. When you buy a car, like when you're in your teens and your 20s, whatever car you buy, just remember, it's not the car you're gonna drive for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. It's a phase. So you buy a car that you can afford where you don't have a car note, and then you get yourself well positioned financially, sell the dang car, and then buy a better car in the future. Don't pressure yourself into buying a car. We have a friend. Whenever this video comes out, he's gonna be so screwed. But that's what he did. Like, actually, not just one friend, it's multiple friends. Because now you're working, now you have money, you want to flaunt it to your friends. So you go buy a new car. Well, the bad thing about it is a car is one of the biggest liabilities that we buy. The moment you buy it,
as soon as you drive off the lot,
that's it. Value.
Depreciates in value.
Yeah. So buy things that are.
If you don't know what depreciate means, Google it.
Yeah, look it up. Give him some more, man. Hit him.
Okay, so I was also gonna say, in terms of the car, I was just thinking back to my Toyota that you made me leave in Georgia.
That Toyota was boo-boo. It was boo-boo.
No.
We're saying buy a car. We're not saying buy boo-boo, okay?
My Toyota was beautiful.
That car was boo-boo.
There was nothing wrong with my car. It was beautiful. The only problem was that it was two-tone, okay? So the passenger side was like a tan color, and so I had spent money to buy like the alarm and the remote start, because I had planned on painting it. And there are so many red cars out there.
Okay. No. I ain't even gonna tell myself, because in college, the car I had in college had the bumper was falling off, so I had to use tape. The car was red.
And then he would color the tape.
No, I didn't color the tape. I just bought red tape. All right, and then I'd hold up the bumper with the tape. Hey, that's the phase I was in. But her car,
no,
she was
first
working.
Of all, my car.
I was in college.
Hold up, okay, and that's exactly what I wanted to talk about there. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
Ugo,
so when I got my job.
You're so cute.
I told you I have on foundation.
I couldn't help but kiss you. I had to kiss you.
I guess that's sweet. So when I got my job working as a nurse, I feel like a lot of people thought, oh, I've got money to blow now. So they thought I was gonna like turn in my car and buy a new car. Mm-hmm. Well, thank God for wisdom then, even though like I didn't really know why I did. I guess because I didn't want a car note. But just because you have a new paying job or you have an increase in salary does not mean that you need to now start living above your means.
Yes.
It's not a necessary, like we are not in this world to please people. We are in this world to please God. Okay, and when you think about it like that, and when you look at it like that, like he never said be stupid with your money. He never said be dumb with it. Okay, so I think it's important that we focus on what's important, and what's important here is not other people.
Yes, and to that point, it's like most of the things that we acquire that are liabilities, it's mostly for two things. Either we don't know they're liabilities, or we're acquiring them because we want to keep up with our friends, or we want to keep up with culture, right? So what we're saying is, by watching this video, you know better. So don't go about doing things to please other people with your money. It's your money, all right? If you have point number one, if you have a game plan, then when you start making money, or even with the little money you have right now, deprive yourself and acquire assets. So buy a house instead of renting as soon as possible, like we were saying. Don't buy a brand new car, right? Buy a slightly used car, or just go back as much as 5 years, or even more in some instances. Buy a car that you're gonna pay off and buy it outright. And cut out the Starbucks, go make your own coffee.
Might as well just invest in a Keurig.
Yeah, okay? make your own coffee.
Learn how to make the latte and make the little foam in your, the little leaf foam in your coffee, like, your latte.
Take your, if you're working, take your own lunch to work.
Oh yeah, that is.
And all that. So like those things you can do to save money, but then you go beyond saving to then invest in them, then acquiring assets, and then like Wifey said, don't be so bogged down in trying to please people. The people you're trying to please now, believe me, when you get stuff rolling and it's coming well, like you have like passive income coming from your investments and all, those people are gonna be more than wowed.
Yeah.
When we first got married, and this is gonna be a real quick story, we had a 2005 Toyota Camry. This was the car we were driving.
I hated that car.
It was a car we were driving before we bought the car out of pressure. It wasn't really pressure.
It wasn't pressure.
We didn't
it was
know.
Just want to have something nice.
Yeah, just to have something nicer. Because this car had over 120 or so thousand miles on it.
I hated it.
We just got married and we're just starting out. And we're like, we don't want to buy.
He made me leave my red car in Georgia. It's all his fault. I blame him.
Boo boo. That car was boo boo.
It was not boo boo.
Anyway, it was a good sort of car, but one of the things that we had to live through was you pull up at a party and all your friends got like there's Mercedes, there's Infinities, there's just all like one person had what was it?
The Audi.
Yeah, I mean you got Audis, you got a lot of cars, a lot of neat cars, and you pull up a 2005 Toyota Camry. Didn't look really nice on us, but the one decision that we made was that before we bought a new car, which we eventually bought and which we eventually learned was a mistake anyway, but before we bought a new car, that we were gonna buy our house first. So we bought our house first and then we bought a car. Now, we know better, we wouldn't have bought a brand new car to begin with, but based on what we knew then, at least
2005 either.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bought a car as old as the one we had, but at least we saved up our money, buy a house first before buying a new car. So that was a good decision there, but still, if we knew now what we knew then, we wouldn't have bought a brand new car to begin with. We would have bought a nice car, but it wouldn't have been brand new. So we would have had two good decisions, buying a house and then buying a used car instead of buying a new car. But that's just a bit of our journey. We're not saying anything that we didn't do ourselves. Now, don't buy a boo-boo car like she bought. That's not smart.
My car was not boo-boo. I don't know. I feel like you just hated on my car because y'all, my car was a female car. So obviously it didn't meet up to the masculinity of what he felt like I should have had in a car. So 2 more points under this that I want to address. The first one I'm gonna say really quick is don't look at other people, because I know. But I want to talk about keeping up with the Joneses, okay? There's this movie that I was watching. And basically, these people move into this neighborhood and they were buying like all this nice stuff.
They know the movie, babe. It's Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Yes. And everybody else was trying to like keep up with them. And so they were going into debt and like this, that, and the other. But basically, like, you don't know what other people are doing to acquire the things that they have.
Yeah.
So err on the side of caution when you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. Anyway,
don't keep up with the Joneses.
Yes.
No, when you're trying to, don't
keep up with the Joneses. I just felt like I needed to put that little tidbit in there for people who still weren't really getting it, okay? Anyway, the second point is credit card. So I feel like we've had this discussion before. And it's okay to have a credit card, but you need to treat your credit card like a debit card, okay? Don't use it to go out and buy things that you actually know you cannot afford and then say, oh, I'll pay it off later. And then that's one more thing you have to add to your budget, which decreases how much you can save, how much you can invest, and how much you can use to create passive income.
Yes, virtually a lot of people, young people, get into credit card debt. And it's only because the points flow because they never had a game plan to begin with, because they weren't thinking about the future, because they didn't think about investment and what to do, wise decisions to make with money. Therefore, getting a credit card took took them into debt instead of it being an avenue to build your credit. So if you do what wifey is saying and you buy it and you use it as a debit card.
Buy a credit card.
My bad. When you get it, I was thinking about buying stuff. When you get it and use it as a debit card instead of a credit card, you actually build your credit. So when you eventually need your credit later, you've already started building your credit early on in life.
3 money mistakes to avoid, okay? So I have a really hard time with this one because sometimes you want what you want, okay? But if you can't afford what you want, maybe you shouldn't have it.
What are you talking about?
What am I talking about?
So mysterious. Sometimes you want what you want, but when you can't afford what you want.
Okay, I'm talking about college and student loans, okay?
How's your leading? Sometimes you want what you want, but you can't afford what you want. And you're talking about student loans?
Yes. Well, I'm talking about college. Like, you know, we build up, we go to school for how many years and we get into high school and we apply to all these universities, the ones with prestige. We ain't got no scholarship. We got no money in the bank. No way to pay for it. But guess what? We're gonna go into student loan debt for 50-something K.
Yeah.
So that we can go to a prestige school and then spend the next 5 years paying off our student loans.
1.6 trillion. That's how much the student loan debt. I think the average student, they said, the research that we're looking at said, has about $37,000, $38,000 in debt coming out of school, out of your undergrad. So that sets you back negative $38,000 before you start living. So even though I don't understand, sometimes you want what you want. But when you can't afford it, even though I can't understand how that applies here, but what we're saying is don't fall into the trap of thinking that student loan debt is the only way to go to college.
Yes. So I want to actually address this from different angles, okay? Mm-hmm. So the first one, Hubby has already talked about. You don't have to go into debt to go to university, right? You can start off at a community college, which is why I was saying that I had a very hard time with this because as coming from an African background, they look at college like university, 4-year school. Like you going to a community college is like, oh, you haven't made it. Like it basically, it's like you weren't smart enough to get into a university.
College, yeah.
But if we're, again, not trying to keep up with the Joneses and we're trying to bring more money into our pocket and build ourselves up to be able to do more in life later, then you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to start off at a 2-year university and while you're in school, work so that you can save money to go to that school that you want to go to and transfer and finish out with the bang. Yeah. Because guess what? Don't nobody care where you started. Yes. They care where you finished.
Exactly. And that's another thing too. Like if you go to a community college and then you just remember that you can transfer most of the credits, I believe all of it, if you look at which classes you can transfer.
If it's accredited, yeah.
Yeah, so you can transfer all the classes that you took at the community college to the college that you really want to go to, and then you would have saved a ton of money for the first 2 to 3 years of going to college, and then you finish up at a university. So first of all, remember this. Nobody cares where you went to school after you graduate. Nobody cares about your grades after you graduate. Nobody cares about all the things that you worry about in your 20s, or at least your teens and your 20s. You think, oh, I gotta come out of this, this school and all that stuff. Yeah, it's true. But the moment you start working, results take over your degrees. So you could have 10 degrees. If you're a poor performer, no one gives a hoot. You're gonna get fired. You're gonna get your butt kicked out. So don't get into debt just to come out of college and then have to start paying it back when there are other ways like scholarships, like working when you're going to school. I mean, not just working so you can go buy some new stuff, work so you can save up and invest a portion of it and then use a portion of it to support yourself so you're not using up your student loan, your financial aid, you're not maxing it out every semester.
Right.
And then under this, real quick before we move on, is most of the time they give you a refund and then you take that money and you blow it because you think it's free money. Just remember, it's money you're gonna have to pay back eventually.
Yes. So the other thing I wanted to address is talking to the teens now. It's never too early to talk to your parents about a game plan in terms of how you're gonna pay for university. I feel like no one really looks at that because you just think, oh, we're gonna be okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, we've got financial aid, or we've got student loans. But honestly, y'all, you do not want that hanging over your head. Like, I finished undergrad and I think my student loans was like between 40 and 50K. Went back and did my master's, came out with $72,000, $73,000 of student debt. And like, I talked to other people and they're
82.
82? Mm-hmm. Was that what it was?
Yes.
Oops.
I would never.
So it's like having that hanging over your head. And now like we basically made an agreement. If either one of us goes back to school, when we go back to school, we are going to pay out of pocket. Like we are not going to accrue any more student loan debt because I can do so much more with that money, okay? Like when you start counting the amount of interest that they put on these student loans, like you're just like, okay, I thought I like paid that.
It's not free money.
It's not. Final mistake to avoid in your teens and 20s.
Not final, the fourth.
Because there are probably gonna be a whole lot more.
You're probably gonna still make a mistake after this video, but who cares? Who's gonna check on you? That's your business.
Babe. Okay, fourth mistake to avoid in your teens and your 20s is basically the whole parental thing, okay? Yeah. So I was telling hubby, I'm like,
I love the mystique that she's introducing this basically the whole parental thing. You're like, wait, which parental thing? Like, which one? Did we talk about one before now and you're just referring to that? Like what's the last one? When you want something as bad as you want something, you can have that thing that you want as bad as you want.
Will you just let me talk about it? Like,
okay, sure. The first thinking, parental thing? What parental thing? What's the...
Okay, so basically, your parents are not and cannot teach you everything that you need to know about money, okay? I was telling hubby, I'm like, when I was in the only thing I knew was to pay tithe on my allowance, okay? That was the only thing that
her parents got right.
Of
course they'll raise her to, please, if anyone of her family members were to see this video, I'm not saying that her parents suck. Oh my God.
Wow. I love you, Mom and Dad. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. At least you raised her, right? That counts for something.
Anyway, basically, we would get allowance on Sunday. I feel like I've shared this story before.
Yes, she has. And we're going to also link the video where she shared that.
We would get allowance on Sunday, and we would pay our tithe. Then we would go to Big Lots and buy Hubba Bubba and Chiclets. Ask me what I saved. Absolutely nothing.
I told y'all. See, earlier she was lying about
it. Okay, I was in my teens. I did not have a job.
It came out.
My parents gave me money, okay? Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't learn about the Roth. I didn't learn about 401k. I didn't learn about any of that. I didn't learn about putting 10% into my savings. And I feel like a lot of us talking about money, we're affected by what we see. You know, if your mom or your dad is a spender, you feel like it's okay to just go ahead and spend everything. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You're living for today and not for tomorrow's satisfaction. I'm pretty sure that's a song somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And if it's not, you just made it one.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's a song though. So if that's what you grew up seeing, that's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to emulate. If your parents were savers and, you know, were very frugal, you may have been pissed with the way that they raised you and still was like, I'm just gonna blow all my money. Or you may have decided to go along that path. Whatever you decided or however you grew up, I think that it's just very important for us to take it upon ourselves to learn about money, to learn about credit cards, to learn about 401ks and IRAs and what's best for us and what's best for our future.
But parents really, we're parents. We got two kids. We have two young kids. One is 3 and one is 1. The one is a girl, so she feels like she can rule everybody, starting with daddy and everybody else. She's a boss. She has got
her daddy's wallets in her hand.
She's a boss, literally, both figuratively and literally. She can give me my wallet and doing stuff with it. Anyway, so we can't speak to parenting with audacity because we have young kids. But the one thing that we do know is at a certain point, a certain age, 18 is that age in most places. You can't blame your parents anymore. Mm-hmm. You have to take your own future in your own hands, even before 18, preferably before 18. But you don't have to replicate the money habits that you saw your parents live out. Most parents had to go into credit card debt in order to survive. Most of them had to do all that stuff to be able to raise a family. So you don't have to go into credit card debt, or you don't have to not learn about money just because your parents didn't teach you. Maybe they were having such a hard time, they didn't have the time to actually teach you. So you can't blame your lack of financial intelligence on your parents as much as you could blame how your life turned out on your parents. It's your decision. So what we're saying is, mistake number 4 to avoid is, don't just fall. It doesn't come naturally. Don't fall into your natural rhythm with money. Learn how money works. Learn what to do with money, how to invest. We made a video, like we said earlier, about investing in stock market and penny stocks and stock market. And we're gonna also make more videos about investing in other areas, like I said before. But learn it. Take it upon yourself to learn those things, and don't just fall under the automatic, oh, my parents did it this way, so I have to do it this way. I have to go get 10 credit cards and blow them all because my parents did that. No, you don't have to. You can be different. Change the rhetoric. Change the narrative. You'll be different. You hear me? You don't stop me when I'm chastising the people.
So basically, the point of this video is that your money is in your hands, okay? What you decide to do with it, how you decide to shape your future of money is all up to you. So create a game plan, okay? Decrease your liabilities. Don't acquire a bunch. Increase your assets.
Yes.
All right? And then if you can avoid it at all, stay away from student loan debt. And remember, learn. No one is going to learn for you.
Yeah.
You have to choose to learn for yourself. And you have done a fantastic job by starting with watching this video.
Hang with us. When you hang with us, you hang with wise people and smart people, you get smarter. Look at what happened to her life.
Wow.
Okay.
You're lucky I love you.
Okay.
Y'all.
Oops.
I don't know if he's trying to be like hip or what.
It's not, you don't have to shoot me down just because I'm flying high. It's just coming out. It's coming out tonight. It's just coming out. Look at me. Oh my gosh, I'm proud of myself.
All right. Thank you for staying tuned with Youthful Vibes. We hope that you have enjoyed this video. And if you would like to see more like it, make sure that you comment, subscribe, share. Let us know what you think. And remember, don't forget to subscribe and click on the ring-a-ding-ding so you can get a notification when we drop something hot.
Yes, and don't forget to grab your copy of Package for Success and learn what your life on the earth is all about. Until next time, take care of yourself, be awesome, be fabulous, be everything nice. Be spice and, what's it called? Spice and what? How does it go?
Well, you don't spice and dice.
It's not spice and dice. What is it? It's
sugar.
It's just sugar and spice and everything nice. Anyway, be cool, be fabulous, be amazing, be awesome.
Oh. Till you did that.